Wife kicked out after having black triplets. 10 years later came a shocking surprise. Amelia Foster stared in disbelief at the three tiny babies in the hospital bassinet, their skin a beautiful deep brown that contrasted sharply with her own pale complexion. The delivery room had fallen silent moments ago when her husband Nathan saw their newborn triplets for the first time. His face had transformed from anticipation to shock, then to something darker: rage, betrayal, disgust. Without a word, he had stormed out, the slamming door echoing through the sterile hospital room. Now, alone with her babies, Amelia's tears fell freely as she whispered, "I don't understand. I swear I don't understand what's happening." Has something like this ever happened to someone you know? Life can change in an instant when trust is broken. Follow Amelia's incredible journey as she faces the ultimate betrayal and discovers her own strength along the way. Make sure to stay with us until the shocking twist that changed everything. The quiet moment with her newborns was shattered when the door burst open again. Nathan stood there, his tall frame rigid with anger, his blue eyes cold as winter. Behind him, two security guards hovered uncertainly. "I've brought your things," he announced, his voice devoid of emotion. "All of them. You're not coming home." Amelia struggled to sit up, wincing from the pain of her C-section just hours before. "Nate, please. We need to talk about this. I don't understand what's happening any more than you do." "Don't understand." Nathan's laugh was harsh, brittle. "Look at them, Mia. Look at our children. We're both white. My family's been in New England for 6 generations. Your parents could be on a Swedish milk carton, and you give birth to 3 black babies." He shook his head, disgust evident in every line of his face. "The only thing I don't understand is which one of your yoga friends is the father." One of the security guards stepped forward. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice. This is a maternity ward." Nathan ignored him, fixing his gaze on Amelia. "I emptied our joint account. Consider it payment for the last 5 years of lies." He tossed a manila envelope onto the bed. "Divorce papers. Sign them." The babies began to cry, their tiny voices joining together in a chorus that tore at Amelia's heart. "Nathan, listen to yourself. I've never been unfaithful. Never. There has to be some explanation." "Oh, there's an explanation, all right," Nathan snarled. "And I'm looking at it in those 3 bassinets." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Don't try to contact me. Don't come to the house. It's over, Mia. Mia." The door closed behind him with a final, devastating click. Amelia stared at the space where her husband had stood, her mind reeling. After 5 years of marriage, after trying for so long to have children, after the joy of finally conceiving, this was how it ended. With accusations and abandonment, she looked down at the divorce papers, then at her crying newborns. Tears streamed down her face as she pressed the call button for the nurse. She needed help, with the babies, with the unbearable pain in her chest that had nothing to do with her surgical incision, with the sudden catastrophic collapse of her life. When the nurse arrived, Amelia could barely speak through her tears. "I need to call my mother," she managed. "Right away." Vivian Caldwell arrived at the hospital in record time, her silver-streaked dark hair escaping from a hasty ponytail, her eyes wide with concern. At 63, she moved with the energy of someone decades younger as she swept into the room. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, taking in the scene. Amelia's tear-stained face, the 3 newborns, the pile of hastily packed bags by the door. What in the world happened? Through broken sobs, Amelia explained Nathan's reaction, his accusations, his threats. Vivian listened, her expression darkening. "He thinks you cheated because the babies are black?" Vivian shook her head in disbelief. "That's absurd. There has to be a medical explanation." "That's what I tried to tell him," Amelia said, wiping her tears. "But he wouldn't listen. Mom, he took all our money. Everything we've saved. And he's filing for divorce." Vivian's mouth set in a hard line. "Then we'll fight him. But first things first." She approached the bassinet and gazed down at the triplets. "They're beautiful, Mia. Absolute beautiful. What are their names?" Amelia hadn't even had time to think about it. She and Nathan had prepared a list, but now, I don't know. We had picked names together, but now... "Then we'll choose new ones," Vivian said firmly. A fresh start. She looked at the babies more closely. 2 boys and a girl, right? Amelia nodded. Jordan, Vivian said, touching the first boy's tiny hand. Elijah, she continued, moving to the second. And Zoe, she finished, smiling at the baby girl. Strong names for strong children. And they have a strong mother. I don't feel strong right now, Amelia whispered. You don't have to, Vivian replied, sitting on the edge of the bed and taking her daughter's hand. That's why I'm here. I'm here. We'll get through this together, one step at a time. For the first time since Nathan had walked out, Amelia felt a tiny flicker of hope. She wasn't alone. She had her mother. She had her babies. And somehow, they would find a way forward. The days that followed were a blur of feedings, diaper changes and tears, both the babies and Amelia's. The hospital staff were kind, offering support and avoiding mention of Nathan's dramatic departure, though Amelia knew it had become gossip fodder throughout the maternity ward. On the 3rd day, Dr. Patel came to check on Amelia and the triplets. Her dark eyes were warm with compassion as she examined each baby. They're doing beautifully, she said. All 3 are gaining weight right on schedule. Dr. Patel, Amelia began hesitantly, is there any medical explanation for their skin color? My husband thinks... She couldn't finish the sentence. The doctor's expression softened. There are several possibilities, Mrs. Foster. Genetics is incredibly complex. Sometimes recessive genes can express themselves unexpectedly. There are also conditions like melanism that can affect skin pigmentation. Could we do a DNA test? Amelia asked. To prove they're Nathan's. Of course, Dr. Patel replied. We can arrange that right away. Amelia nodded gratefully. Surely once Nathan saw the DNA results he would realize his mistake. They could work through this. They could be a family again. But the next morning, Amelia's phone pinged with a bank notification. She stared at the screen in horror. Their joint account, where they'd saved for a house, for the children's education, where her portion of their income had been deposited for years, had been emptied. Every last penny gone. She called the bank in a panic, only to learn that Nathan had withdrawn it all the previous day. Legally, there was nothing they could do. His name was on the account too. When Vivian arrived that morning, she found her daughter in tears again. He took everything, Mom. All our savings. Vivian's eyes flashed with anger. We'll call the police. That's theft. The bank says it isn't. Amelia replied dully. His name is on the account too. He had every right to take it. Then we'll sue him for your share, Vivian declared. But first, let's get you and these babies home. To my home, she added quickly. You'll stay with me until we sort this out. The DNA test results won't be back for days, Amelia said. What if Nathan changes his mind before then? What if he wants to see the babies? Vivian's expression was grim. After what he's done, he'll have to go through me first. 6 weeks later, Amelia sat in Vivian's sunlit kitchen, staring at the DNA test results for the 3rd time. There was no mistake. Jordan, Elijah, and Zoe were 99.99% Nathan's biological children. She had sent the results to Nathan through certified mail, through email, through text, but there had been no response. The police had been no help in recovering her money. Nathan had disappeared, leaving no forwarding address. The divorce papers remained unsigned on Vivian's dining room table. I don't understand, Amelia said. Not for the first time. How can they be his? How can they be ours? Neither of us has any black ancestry that we know of. Vivian sipped her coffee thoughtfully. Family trees can hold many secrets, Mia. Maybe there's something in Nathan's background he doesn't know about. The triplets were asleep in the portable cribs Vivian had purchased, their peaceful faces a stark contrast to the chaos of their arrival into the world. At 6 weeks old, they were thriving despite everything, growing, developing distinct personalities, bringing moments of joy amid the heartbreak. I need to find work, Amelia said suddenly. I can't keep depending on you. The maternity leave from my teaching job ends next month, and she faltered. I can't go back there. Not to the same district where Nathan teaches. Not after everything. Then, we'll find you something else, Vivian said firmly. I've been thinking. My friend Caroline runs that private school in Henderson. They're always looking for good English teachers. Henderson? That's an hour away. Exactly. Far enough that you won't run into Nathan at the grocery store, but close enough that I can help with the triplets. Amelia considered it. A fresh start, away from the whispers and pitying glances of colleagues who had known them as the perfect couple, away from the constant fear of running into Nathan. Okay, she said finally. Let's call Caroline. Have you ever had to rebuild your life from scratch? It takes incredible courage to keep going when everything falls apart. Amelia's journey is about to take another unexpected turn. Keep watching to find out what shocking discovery awaits her a decade later. The months passed, and slowly, painfully, Amelia built a new life for herself and her children. The job at Caroline's school came through, teaching high school English, and with Vivian's help, she managed the impossible juggling act of working full-time while raising triplets. On their first birthday, as Jordan, Elijah, and Zoe smeared cake on their faces and giggled with delight, Amelia looked around at the small gathering. Vivian, Caroline, a few new friends from work, and felt a bittersweet pang. This wasn't the life she had imagined, but it was hers, and there was joy in it, despite everything. The divorce had been finalized in Nathan's absence, his lawyer handling everything. Amelia had received nothing in the settlement. No alimony, no child support, nothing but her freedom from a man who had abandoned her at the moment she needed him most. As the years passed, the triplets grew into curious, energetic children with distinct personalities. Jordan was thoughtful and serious, always building or creating something. Elijah was the adventurer, fearless and quick to laugh. Zoe was their peacemaker, wise beyond her years, with a natural empathy that sometimes took Amelia's breath away. They asked about their father occasionally, and Amelia struggled to find the right words. How do you tell children that their father rejected them before he even knew them? That he had abandoned them because of the color of their skin? Your daddy had to go away, she would say, heartbreaking at the simplification. But Grandma Viv and I love you enough for 10 parents. It seemed to satisfy them for a while. Then, when the triplets were 5, everything changed again. It began with a note slipped under the door of their small rented house near the school. Amelia found it when she came home from work, the children chattering excitedly about their day in kindergarten. You thought I'd forgotten? The note read. I haven't. I know what you did. Amelia's blood ran cold. She recognized the handwriting immediately. Nathan. She called the police, but they could do little. The note contained no explicit threat, and there was no proof Nathan had left it. They promised to drive by the house more frequently, but advised her to be vigilant. More notes followed, appearing in increasingly disturbing places, in her mailbox, tucked under her windshield wiper, and most frighteningly on her pillow one day when she returned from work. How did you get in? She demanded when she called the police that time. I changed the locks. We'll look into it, they promised, but found nothing. No broken windows, no picked locks, nothing to indicate forced entry. The notes grew more threatening. You'll pay for your lies, one read. I'll take back what's mine, said another. Amelia was in a constant state of fear. She installed security cameras, changed the locks again, considered buying a gun before rejecting the idea with 3 curious 5-year-olds in the house. Vivian wanted her to move in again, but Amelia resisted. I can't keep running, she argued, and I can't put you in danger too. Then came the promotion opportunity. Department head at a prestigious private school in Columbus. 3 hours away. The timing couldn't have been better. We're moving, she told the triplets, trying to sound excited rather than terrified. To a new city with a new school. It'll be an adventure. Zoe, perceptive as always, studied her mother's face. Is it because of the bad notes? She asked quietly. Amelia knelt to her daughter's level. Partly, she admitted. But it's also a wonderful opportunity for us all. A fresh start. They moved quickly, selling or donating most of their possessions to travel light. Vivian, now approaching 70 but still vibrant, insisted on coming with them. Those children are my whole world, she declared. Besides, What's keeping me here? Book club. I can find another book club. Columbus embraced them. The new school welcomed Amelia warmly. They found a charming old Victorian house to rent, with enough bedrooms for everyone, and a backyard where the triplets could play. Vivian joined not one, but 3 book clubs. Life settled into a new rhythm, one without the constant fear of Nathan's next move. As the triplets grew, Amelia watched for signs that they struggled with their identity, prepared to help them navigate the challenges of being black children with a white mother. There were difficult moments, questions she couldn't fully answer, experiences she couldn't fully understand, but they faced them together, as a family. She reached out to black colleagues and friends for guidance, determined that her children would grow up proud of who they were, connected to all parts of their heritage. Years passed without a single note, without a glimpse of Nathan. Amelia began to breathe more easily, to believe they were truly safe. The children thrived in their new environment. Amelia was promoted again. Vivian's book clubs competed for her attention. Then came the triplets' 10th birthday. Amelia had planned a celebration at a local park. Nothing extravagant, but special. Jordan, Elijah, and Zoe had invited friends from school. Vivian had baked her famous triple-layer chocolate cake. The weather was perfect, warm May sunshine filtering through the trees. Amelia was lighting the candles on the cake when she felt it. A prickle on the back of her neck, the sensation of being watched. She turned slowly, her heart pounding. There, at the edge of the pavilion, stood Nathan. 10 years had not been kind to him. His once thick dark hair was thinning and streaked with gray. Deep lines etched his face. He had the haggard look of a man who had lived hard and slept little. "Mia," he said, his voice rough, "I've been looking for you." Vivian moved to stand between him and the children, her expression fierce despite her age. "You need to leave, Nathan. Now." But Nathan held up his hands in a gesture of surrender. "Please, I just want to talk. I need to explain." Amelia's mind raced. Should she call the police? Create a scene in front of all the children? Or hear what he had to say and then make him leave? 5 minutes, she said finally. Away from the children. They walked to a bench at the edge of the playground, far enough for privacy, but close enough that Amelia could keep an eye on the party. Vivian watched them like a hawk, phone in hand, clearly ready to call 911 at the slightest provocation. "I know who I am now," Nathan began without preamble. "I know where the triplets get their skin color." Amelia waited, silent. "It's me," he continued. "It comes from me." He laughed, a hollow sound. "Turns out my sainted mother had an affair with my father's business partner, a black man. She only told me after I left you." Amelia stared at him in disbelief. "You're saying—" I'm saying I'm biracial," Nathan confirmed. "My mother confessed when she saw pictures of the triplets." She recognized the resemblance to her lover immediately. "Apparently, it's some rare genetic thing. The genes for skin color skipped me, but showed up in our children." He rubbed his face wearily. "I should have listened to you. Should have waited for the DNA test." "Yes," Amelia agreed, her voice hard. "You should have, but you didn't. You abandoned us. You stole my money. You threatened me with those notes for years." Nathan had the grace to look ashamed. "The notes weren't about the babies. Not really. I was angry because you were doing so well without me. I wanted you to suffer like I was suffering." "Suffering?" Amelia echoed incredulously. "You left me with newborn triplets and no resources. You emptied our bank account." "I know," Nathan said quietly. "I used that money to move in with Rebecca, the woman I'd been seeing behind your back for months before the triplets were born." The revelation hit Amelia like a physical blow. "You were already cheating on me? Before I even gave birth?" Nathan nodded miserably. "The triplets' skin color was just an excuse. A convenient way out that made me look like the victim instead of the villain. But Rebecca left me as soon as the money ran out. And then I was alone, with nothing." Amelia looked across the park to where Jordan, Elijah, and Zoe were laughing with their friends, carefree and happy despite the absence of their father, or perhaps because of it. What do you want from us, Nathan? Forgiveness? A relationship with the children you rejected? I don't know, he admitted. Maybe just for you to know the truth. That the triplets are definitely mine. That I was wrong. That I'm sorry. Amelia studied him. This stranger who had once been her husband, the father of her children. She felt no love for him anymore. Not even hate. Just a profound weariness. Your apology means nothing without action, she said finally. And it's 10 years too late. The children don't know you. They don't need you. We've built a life without you, and it's a good one. Please, Nathan begged. Just a chance to know them. Amelia stood. No, not now. Maybe not ever. Later. That's not my decision to make anymore. It's theirs. When they're old enough, if they want to meet you, I won't stand in their way. But I won't force them to have a relationship with a man who rejected them before they were even named. Mia. My name is Amelia, she corrected him. Only my friends call me Mia. And we are not friends, Nathan. We are nothing to each other except the parents of 3 incredible children who deserve better than what you offered them. She turned to walk away, then paused. Don't come to our home. Don't contact the children. If you truly want to make amends, set up a college fund for them. Pay the child support you've owed for 10 years. Show them with actions, not words, that you regret what you did. Until then, stay away from us. She returned to the birthday party, to the family she had built from the ashes of Nathan's betrayal. Vivian raised an eyebrow in question, and Amelia shook her head slightly. Later. They would talk later. The celebration continued as if Nathan had never appeared. The children blew out their candles. Presents were opened. Ice cream was served, and if anyone noticed the stranger watching from a distance, his face wet with tears, they didn't mention it. That night, after the triplets were asleep, Amelia told Vivian everything. Her mother listened in silence, her expression growing harder with each revelation. So he was cheating all along, Vivian said when Amelia finished. The triplets were just his excuse to leave. Yes, Amelia confirmed. And now he wants back in their lives. What are you going to do? Amelia stared out the window at the star-filled sky. Nothing, she said finally. Nothing changes. The children are happy. We're happy. We're happy. Nathan made his choice 10 years ago, and we've all lived with the consequences. I'm not disrupting their lives for his guilty conscience. Vivian nodded approvingly. You've come a long way from that terrified new mother in the hospital bed. I had to, Amelia replied simply. For them, for myself. Sometimes the most profound life lessons come from our greatest challenges. Amelia had learned this truth through a decade of struggle and triumph. She had learned that family isn't always defined by blood or genetics. Sometimes it's created through love, commitment, and shared experience. She had learned that strength often emerges precisely when we feel most broken. That resilience isn't about avoiding hardship, but about surviving it with our humanity intact. She had learned that forgiveness isn't always about reconciliation. Sometimes it's simply about releasing the anger that binds us to our pain, about refusing to let someone else's actions define our future. Nathan's rejection had nearly destroyed her once, but she had refused to let that moment determine the trajectory of her life or her children's lives. Most importantly, Amelia had learned that identity is complex and multifaceted. Her children were navigating a racial identity different from her own, and she had committed herself to supporting them in that journey, to ensuring they grew up proud of all aspects of who they were. She couldn't change the circumstances of their birth or the absence of their father, but she could create an environment of unconditional love where they could become fully themselves. Life rarely follows the path we imagine. The dreams Amelia had cherished as a newlywed, of a partnership that would endure, of children raised by both parents, of the traditional family she had grown up in, had shattered on the day of the triplets' birth. But from those fragments, she had pieced together something new, something uniquely beautiful. A family bonded not by convention but by choice, by daily acts of love and sacrifice. None of it had been easy. There had been days when she had questioned whether she could do it, nights when she had cried herself to sleep from exhaustion and doubt. But each morning she had risen again, had faced whatever challenges the day brought. And gradually, those challenges had shaped her into someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate than she had been before. Perhaps that was the greatest revelation of all. That we are not diminished by our struggles but enlarged by them. That our capacity for love and joy grows in direct proportion to the adversity we overcome. Amelia had not chosen the trials that had defined the past decade of her life, but she had chosen how to respond to them. And in choosing courage over despair, action over paralysis, love over bitterness, she had created a legacy for her children far more valuable than any inheritance Nathan could have provided. 10 years ago, she had believed her life was ending when Nathan walked out that hospital door. Now she understood it had only been beginning. The journey ahead still held uncertainties, how the triplets would process the truth about their father when they were old enough to understand it, whether Nathan would honor her boundaries or attempt to force his way into their lives. What new challenges awaited as the children grew into teenagers and then adults? But Amelia faced that future without fear. Whatever came, she had proven to herself and to her children that they could weather it together. That was the gift hidden within Nathan's betrayal, the discovery of her own indomitable spirit, and the creation of a family bonded by something far stronger than genetics or legal ties. In the end, the greatest surprise wasn't Nathan's revelation about his ancestry or his belated desire for redemption. It was Amelia's discovery that what had once seemed like the worst moment of her life had ultimately led her to the best version of herself. 1 year later, a thick envelope arrived in the mail. Inside was a letter from Nathan's lawyer, along with documents establishing trust funds for each of the triplets' education. A separate account had been set up to pay the decade of back child support, with interest. There was a brief note from Nathan himself. "This doesn't make up for what I did, but it's a start. When they're ready, if they're ever ready, I'll be here." Amelia filed the documents away carefully. Someday, the children would have questions she couldn't answer. Someday, they might want to know the man who shared their DNA. When that day came, she would support their choice, whatever it might be. But for now, Jordan, Elijah, and Zoe needed no one but the family they already had. The mother who had never left them, the grandmother who had helped raise them, and each other, the unbreakable bond of siblings who had faced the world together from their very first breath. As Amelia watched them playing in the backyard, their laughter rising like music in the summer air, she knew with absolute certainty that they had everything they needed. The road ahead would have its challenges, but they would face them as they had faced everything else. Together, with love as their compass and resilience as their strength. What would you do if you were in Amelia's position? Would you have given Nathan a second chance? Or protected your family as she did? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Heartwarming Stories Spark for more powerful stories of courage, forgiveness, and unexpected life journeys.